bhaktya satstriya satpatin jatha maji nirbadha hridaya shadhava shamadarshanaha vase kurvanti mam bhaktya satstriya satpatim jata mayi nirbhada pridaya shadhava shamadarshanaha vase kurvanti man bhaktya satstriya satpatin yatha. Please chant. Mai, unto me, nirbadha hridayaha, firmly attached in the core of the heart, sadavaha, the pure devotees, samadarshanaha, who are equal to everyone, vase, under control, kurvanti, they make, mam, unto me, bhaktya, by devotional service, satstriyaha, chaste woman, satpatim, unto the gentle husband, jatha, as. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. As chaste women bring their gentle husband under control by service, the pure devotees, who are equal to everyone and completely attached to me in the course of the heart, bring me under their full control. Purport. In this verse, the word samadarshanaha is significant. The pure devotee is actually equal towards everyone, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 1854. Brahma Buddha prasanadma na sochati na kanchati shama sharveshu bhuteshu. Universal brotherhood is possible when one is a pure devotee, pandita shamadarshina. A pure devotee is actually learned because he knows his constitutional position. He knows the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he knows the relationship between the living entity and the Supreme Lord. Thus, he has full spiritual knowledge and is automatically liberated, Brahma Bhuta. He can therefore see everyone on the spiritual platform. He can comprehend the happiness and distress of all living entities. He understands that what is happiness to him is also happiness to others, and that what is distress to him is distressing for others. Therefore, he is sympathetic to everyone. As Prahlad Maharaj said, Suchetato vimukta chetasha indriyartha maya shukaya bharam udvahato vimuhdam. Bhagavatam 9.4.63, people suffer from material distress because they are not attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A pure devotee's chief concern, therefore, is to raise the ignorant mass of people to the sense of Krishna consciousness. Mayi nirbadha hridaya sadava shamadarshanaha Vashe kurvanti man bhaktya satstiya satpatin yatha. As chaste women bring their gentle husband under control by service, the pure devotees who are equal to everyone and completely attached to me in the core of the hearts bring me under their full control. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Ummilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirveshesha Shunyavadi Pashatyade Shatarine. Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyasha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So, Krishna is explaining this most mysterious science to Durvasa Muni. Just like in the Bhagavatam, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna that because of Arjuna's quality of non-being envious, Anusuyava, in the beginning of the 9th chapter, because Arjuna is Anusuyava, because he's non-envious, then he's going to reveal to him this Raja Guhyam, this Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam, this king of all knowledge and the greatest of all mysterious things, confidential, Guhyam. Very, very confidential, but he's going to reveal to Arjuna. And he tells also that this king of all knowledge and this most confidential knowledge is the perfection of religion. What is this? Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam, Pavitran Idam Uttama. It's the most perfect, pure path of religion. And it's most perfect because also he gives us the direct experience. It's actually experiential. And the symptom of that experience is that it gives great happiness. It actually allows to come to the position of experiencing the happiness of the soul, which is a happiness that is sustainable, that it doesn't become affected by material circumstances. Which in one sense is a very fascinating, well, not in one sense, in all sense, it's a very fascinating information, especially for the modern world, because we see that that there's a big conflict between the modern world that follows the dictations and the guidance of science and the world of religion. Science, what is the name that, there's the religionists, and then there's how you call when you follow science, there's a word. No, no. There's a word that defines, you want the government without, or schools without teaching about God. Means, yesterday I came late from the program, so I'm a little. No. Yeah, anyway, there's a word for that. This is a very common word. That the word of science tells that they accuse religionists of being sentimental. That just, it's just about feelings. It's about that this faith is something that you really can measure. You cannot experiment with it. They say, that it's relying too much on faith, but not on some measurable ways of actually understanding, like science. Science relies on physical and chemical laws. So with science, you say, okay, here's this proposal, and then when you do these things, you're going to obtain this result. So you can measure a process. There's a process that is measurable. And then if you follow that, you obtain this result. So the scientific world accuses religions to actually not being able to, is relying solely on the faith and the sentiment. But there's no measurable process. And religiousness accuse sciences of not being able to understand or tap into the symptoms of a spirit, of the soul, the emotions, that are there beyond the body, that is in between the living entity and God. So there is this divide that if each part doesn't find full satisfaction on the proposals or the presentations of religiousness and science, but in Krishna consciousness is a perfect science. Prabhupada calls it a spiritual science. And it's fully measurable. There's a process that is measurable. And And Krishna reveals that. Krishna reveals that very clearly in this pastime, and in his educating Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni is very surprised, because obviously the weapon, the Sudarshan Chakra, is the weapon of the Lord. So naturally, the Lord is the ultimate controller. It's not only the controller of the Sudarshan Chakra, but is the controller of the whole creation, which Lord Shiva informed Durvasa Muni that you have to go to Lord Vishnu. He is the supreme controller. So Durvasa Muni understood that, and he goes to the supreme controller, and he becomes extremely surprised when the supreme controller revealed to him this most confidential knowledge, that he's actually under the control of his devotee, which is pretty far out. The supreme controller is under the control of the devotee. And Lord Vishnu doesn't mince words in explaining that. He reveals to Durvasa Muni, at length, several verses. He says that actually I'm completely dependent on my devotees. And that brings us to understand this principle of bhakti, which is called bhakti is called Krishna. What is it? What is the name that Srila Rupa Goswami gave? It's basically that fully controls Krishna, or that attracts Krishna. Huh? Thank you very much. Krishna Karshini. Bhakti is defined by Srila Rupa Goswami as Krishna Karshini, which is that fully controls Krishna. Krishna Karshini. That's in the Nectar of Devotion. So therefore, this pure devotional service is not given so easily. That's why it's confidential. That's why it's very confidential. Because pure devotional service is awarded only to devotees who are, and this is what Lord Vishnu comes to explain to Durvasa Muni, is awarded to devotees. He describes several things in this verse and the previous verses. In this verse he said that those who are Samadarshina, the characteristic of a devotee of being Samadarshina, which means that they have complete knowledge of their Prabhupada explains of the constitutional position, his constitutional position or her constitutional position, and the others too, all living entities. So then he's able to see equally. So he's fully spiritual, in the spiritual platform, Brahma Bhuta. But he also previously, he says that they have absolutely no material attachments. So homes, wives, children, relative riches, and even their life is simply to serve him. No material, no desire for material improvements. They give up such things. They do not desire to enjoy any opulences. So, no, devoid of material desires. What else it says? No, basically that. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita tells Arjuna, like I say, be non-envious. So this is the qualities of the pure devotee. And then when they receive pure devotional service, and when they achieve pure devotional service, they can control Krishna. Krishna becomes fully controlled. And this is a perfect example. There is another example of Krishna dancing for the gopis. When he was Krishna as a little baby, just like a little baby, dancing for the pleasure of the gopis. Here is the supreme controller. And the gopis will say, they will have fun, they will get into clapping and chanting, and then Krishna, baby Krishna, will dance. And then they stop, and then he stop. And then they start again, and they get into this game. They will clap, and Krishna, they make Krishna dance. Or in the seventh canto, we remember reading, some time ago, Narada Muni telling the Pandavas, how lucky you are that by the power of your love for Krishna, he stays in your home. Just like an ordinary, person, family member. He stays in your home. Or Lord Chaitanya, once there was this amazing personality, his name was Vasudev Datta, who was a leper brahmana. But he was glorified later by his devotion. Lord Chaitanya cured him, but he was glorified because his mood of compassion. He actually asked the benediction of Lord Chaitanya that please allow the sinful reactions of all living entities in this universe to be placed upon his head, so they all become free from sinful reactions and able to become liberated. And Lord Chaitanya was so touched by the mood of compassion of Vasudev Datta that he declared, my body belongs to Vasudev Datta. He can do whatever he wants with my body. He can sell me, put me for sale anywhere. So the Lord will give himself totally to his pure devotee. So it's a very important understanding that is there, that only through bhakti one can actually understand Krishna. And that's one of the core messages of the Bhagavad Gita. Bhaktiman abhijanati. That only through bhakti one can actually understand Krishna. And not only understand Krishna, but actually connecting to this eternal relationship in which by love between Krishna and Krishna's devotee, there is this full unification. And the unification is that Krishna's happiness becomes the happiness of the devotee. Whatever's in Krishna's heart is the heart of the devotee. And whatever the heart of the devotee is in the heart of the devotee is in Krishna's heart. Krishna explains that later. We're going to read. It's another famous verse of this chapter that it will be the verse that is for Tuesday, I believe. No, tomorrow, Monday. Then he says, Sadavo hridayam mahyam sadunan hridayan tvaham. Hrida means heart. So the pure devotee is always within the core of my heart. And I'm always in the heart of the pure devotee. My devotees do not know anything else but me, and I do not know anyone else but them. So this unification happens. That is what pure devotional service, allows. There is loss. And the beautiful thing, how Prabhupada calls this a science, is because there is a process that is perfectly measurable. That if you apply it, this is a result. That's what the Goswamis of Vrindavan has given us the whole science of Krishna consciousness. And in the Bhagavatam, it's clearly explained with examples. And that's what Durvasa Muni is becoming educated in this process. That you go and take shelter of the devotee. And then through the devotee, then Krishna will oblige. Then he'll be completely protected. So, perfectly measurable process that one have to develop an attachment for the devotees of the Lord. Yesterday, it was a brilliant presentation, the beginning of this beautiful book called Sri Mana Shiksha by Mother Urmila was explaining. This is a book by Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. And one of the things that the Acharyas say, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur say, that Srila Rupa Goswami tells us what to do. What are the things we're supposed to do? What are the do's? He delineates everything that is supposed to be done by the devotees. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami explains how to. The how-tos. So it's a very important book, little book, but it's very important, very revealing. And in the opening verse of this book, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami is speaking to his mind. Now, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati tells us how to deal with the mind. We all know, right? You take a shoe in the morning and beat it. And then in the evening, you take a broomstick and beat it. So that's Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's advice, how to deal with the mind. You basically beat it to submission. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami takes another approach. The beauty of the spiritual science is that there's certain variegateness. Some approach, like this. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami takes a very sweet approach. So he speaks very sweetly to the mind. He calls the mind, Aye Bhrata. Aye Bhrata. He say, oh dear brother. Call the mind, oh my dear brother. Oh mind, having given up all pride, please develop unprecedented and excessive attachment. And then he gives a list to all different things that we have developed this unprecedented and excessive attachment. We're not talking about just an attachment. I'm attached to, no. This is unprecedented, excessive. So really, way over the board. Like really, really over the board. Attachment. So, my dear brother, my dear mind, please give up all pride and just focus on this attachment in an unprecedented, excessive way of these different things. Sri Guru, your spiritual master, not only your Shiksha Guru, your Diksha Guru, but your Shiksha Gurus. So, to all those who are guiding you, Sri Guru, to Sri Vrindavan, the abode of the cows, to the devotee, residents of Vrindavan, to all the devotees on this planet, to the confidential mantra, the Gayatri mantra, given by Sri Guru, to the holy names of Sri Radha and Krishna, and to the process of surrendering to the fresh, youthful couple of Braj, holding your feet, I beseech you with sweet words. So, we have to develop this unprecedented, excessive attachment to those who are guiding us, the spiritual master, to Vrindavan, Sri Vrindavan Dham, and to the devotees who are constantly meditating on Vrindavan. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he explains that what is these devotees who are constantly meditating in Vrindavan, who are, what it says here, the residents of Vrindavan. Who are the residents of Vrindavan? That's the question. Who are the residents? Because we go and visit Vrindavan, and when we go to visit Vrindavan, we say, oh, the people who live in Vrindavan are the Brijavasis. So, are they the people that we have to become attached? Who is a Brijavasi? Is it a geographical location? Is it someone, it happens that you live in that location? Is that the persons who you have to develop this unprecedented attachment towards? And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that it's not the location. Those who are residents of Vrindavan are those who are constantly meditating or have the mood of Vrindavan, meditating in Vrindavan. And explains that that's beyond geographical location, beyond time and place, circumstances, beyond that. That a person who it could be here in Chicago, and because this person is constantly absorbed in the mood of Vrindavan, of serving Radha and Krishna, then that person is a Brijavasi. It's a resident of Vrindavan. On the contrary, you can be in Vrindavan and not being in this mood. Have a complete different mood. So then you're not considered, a Brijavasi. As from my understanding of what I heard on the descriptions from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So becoming attached to those who are constantly meditating in the mood of Vrindavan, which is, the mood of serving Radha and Krishna, meditating on that. Pure devotees, in other words, those are the devotees who are able to enter into that mood, a spontaneous devotion. But not only that, he also say we have to develop this unprecedented attachment towards all the devotees of the Lord, all the devotees on this planet. So that means that this very inclusive acceptance and respect and attachment to all people who are representing God, the people of God. I mean, that includes all religions. And that's Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was a very, very inclusive, liberal. I mean, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur will be for those who are professing, the liberal ideals, he will be a superhero. I mean, when these liberals, if they have the great fortune of discovering Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's books, they will be terribly inspiring because of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's universal, inclusive sort of approach. But Srila Ranganath Das Goswami is also presenting like that. All devotees in the planet. It's not just, the devotees in India, Vaishnavas, but in the planet. And so we have, our mind should be fully coming to this point to actually being able to approach this most confidential position. By attachment to those who possesses bhakti, this pure devotion, then we start to develop it. We start to develop it. And that's a means, that's a message that Lord Vishnu is given to Durvasa Muni. You want to become free from this terrible situation, and Durvasa Muni was this very dramatic situation, terrible situation, but it's a principle. You want to become free from the miseries of this world, you have to take shelter to the lotus feet of a devotee. You have to become fully connected and attached to that. But how you're able to do that? Srila Raghunath Das Goswami says you have to give up pride. So pride is interesting that Srila Raghunath Das Goswami singles out pride as the primeval or the prime obstacle for allowing us to develop that unprecedented excessive attachment. And it makes sense because what does pride do? Pride basically allows to be almost like fence or box into a selfish approach. Pride doesn't allow us to see things beyond our sense of entitlement. If we analyze how our pride gets arisen in ourselves, pride have the connection with the false ego. Pride means, I am, or this is mine. It's about the identification that you have of the self. The false, in this case, the false identities that we have. And then when that is challenged, then we stand up. We say, actually, no, what are you talking about? Don't you know? This is who I am, and this is mine. It's the immediate manifestation of the false ego, pride. And so pride basically enhances or pride brings out, or establish our false identification. So as long as we remain like that, we cannot see. We can't see beyond that, beyond our false identification, false ego. We remain selfish. And we can actually move from that selfishness as long as there is pride. So therefore, we have to give up pride. Therefore, the principle that universally will allow us to take shelter on the process of bhakti is humility. It's universal. We have to develop humility. So we have to curb pride. So Srila Ranghunath Das Goswami singles it out. Give up pride. Pride is this huge baggage that won't allow us to actually take instruction and take help. Pride doesn't allow us to actually appreciate and be grateful. We can think about it like this. The symptom of pride, like I said, is this sense of entitlement. I believe that this is what I worth. This is what I'm worth. This much I'm worth. And if you try to cheat me in what I'm worth, then I'm very upset. I'm going to protest. I'm going to actually tell you, this is what I'm worth. And you have to give me what I'm worth. I'm very unhappy if it's not like that. Like, an example, worth. If we go, people love to buy in this, especially here in America, part of the big picture of business is this discount stores. Walmart and Target and all these things, like that. Big businesses that make great profits by offering goods that they look nice at a very cheap price. Obviously, we don't know, or people try to have a blind eye to how they're cheap. Basically, someone else have to pay, which is usually, labor, exploited labor in some other parts of the world. But, so if I go to this discount store and I have $20, and I spend my $20 and buy the thing that I think, this is worth $20, and okay, I'm very happy. But then if I find out that in the next store they're selling the same thing for half the price, then I'm really unhappy. Because, now my $20 worth is not the same. I would have been able to duplicate that in the other place. So I'm miserable, I'm very unhappy. On the other hand, the person who bought in that other discount store now is very happy because the worth of his $20, he was able to buy more like that. So this sense of entitlement of the worth that we think is usually put us in this position of duality, happiness and distress. So we're set up for that. That's a material consciousness. If when we have that, if we don't have that mentality in the material world, then when you receive, if we have the mentality of actually we're receiving something, we're receiving a facility that someone else is sacrificing to giving us, to allow us to receive this. If that pride, that sense of, it's about me and what I'm able to achieve, or what I'm worth for. If I'm able to go beyond that and be able to be grateful about the facility that I'm being given, then that is a much higher level of consciousness. And that type of consciousness, when we give up this sense of entitlement, and we start to see that the sacrifices that others made, or the gift that is given to us, the facility that is given to us, then I can be grateful. Then I can actually appreciate and be grateful. So this sense of humility, of being able to be the recipient of something, then that is what allows to actually develop attachment. With appreciation, and with gratitude, and with the sense of, the sense of gratitude, then is when we can actually develop attachment. So that's why we have to give up this pride. We have to give up this sense of entitlement, of what I'm supposed to have. So it's a beautiful meditation, I think, and to go deeper on that. Hare Krishna. Any comment or questions? Yes, back to Marcel Prabhu.
Krishna, thank you for the class. I'm just wondering, the Manaha Shiksha, I'm just wondering what the title translates to. Giving instructions to the mind, or like being the guru of the mind. Is that do you know the translation of Manaha Shiksha?
The translation is splendid instructions to the mind.
Because I read a few verses from the book, and I was just curious because I didn't know what it meant, but that's what it seems. It seems like very subtly the instructions are being given to the mind. It's really nice.
Yeah, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that this book describes this path, or the pada, I can't remember the full Sanskrit word, pada something, which is, it's a path that we have to follow. And it's given by acharyas, it's given by the 6 Goswamis. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami is this most elevated personality who was very dear to Lord Chaitanya, especially by his renunciation. So anyway, he's given us the shiksha, or he's giving us these prayers and this process, the how we able to do. So it's going deeper on that.
Me and Dimitri Prabhu, where we were discussing this yesterday, in terms of not seeing you mentioned I'm trying to remember just there's the people suffering in their misery, and it's easy to get distracted on that and start seeing it, for not only focusing more on it, but seeing it as a bad thing, when it is Krishna's energy in some perspective. So I was just wondering, what is the importance of acknowledging that it's there, but not like completely being, not averse to it, not trying to avoid it, but just, acknowledging, because we have knowledge from like Bhagavad Gita saying of the different, the nature of the world. So we can't just disregard something, but acknowledging it, but not kind of having a negative feelings towards it.
Right. Yeah, for us in the beginning, it's a cultivation. We have to acknowledge it because that's the platform that we started. We're not in the position of Samadarshini, Brahma Buddha. We don't start from there. We start from the position of, this bodily conception of life. We start from the position of being perplexed by the changes that happens in the material energy. And so the instructions that we're receiving are the instructions that Krishna gave to Arjuna in the beginning. So the first thing that he tells us is, we acknowledge it. Matra sparsas tukunteya shitoshni shukadukata. That we acknowledge this happiness and distress that exists. It's something that we go through. But what is it? Then Krishna explained it. This is just conceptions that we have. It's things in our mind. It arises from the body and the mind, these ideas of happiness and distress. So it happens. It is there. It's an experience. We can't fake it. But Krishna says that we simply, what is the instruction that he gave us? This tamstitik shababharata. We have to simply tolerate it. Tolerate, in one sense, how you tolerate happiness. You tolerate, the idea is that you try to maintain your practices, your duties, your sadhana, that it doesn't become affected or interrupted by happiness or distress. You tolerate that and you continue. Regardless, don't stop. So we find it, we find both of them challenging, because when things are getting great and you're happy, they're all going, nicely, then we become complacent. We become comfortable, nice bed, nice food, nice this, nice that. And then, we're starting to lack in our determination. Things becomes very difficult, no this, no that, lacking of this, some disease or something. Then we become morose. We became affected. But we have to tolerate both pools and maintain our practices. So tolerance becomes a very important thing for us. The thing is that just keep going at it. Keep going. Don't stop. Any other comment or questions? Lachan Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the class. My question is, can pride help us in any way as far as our development and bhakti and making spiritual advancement? Can it help us?
Yeah, in one sense, when it's not self-centered, the pride that Srila Raghunath Das Goswami is discouraging or asking us to give up or to let go is this self-center that is focused on the self, on the false identity. But the pride that is there, placed towards the devotees, I'm proud of being a part of Srila Prabhupada's family. I'm proud of the awesome disciplic succession that I'm part of. Each personality is the most amazing personality. I mean, you feel pride, that you're connected to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Srila Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya. I mean, you can go on. I mean, each one you become so excited about it, So I'm proud of being a disciple of my Guru Maharaj, like that. So I think being part of this, the Kishori's entourage, Yes, bro.
That question makes me think of the verse Utsahanishtaya Dharyat, because having faith and having confidence could be mistaken as being having pride in something, but then the other thing is having pride, saying I am the controller of all that I survey, this is mine, I am the best, I'm surrounded by aristocratic family members, but I am the best.
Yeah.
That's how I interpreted it as.
Yes. Very good. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.